Have you ever had one of those nights where everything that could go wrong did go wrong? Now multiply that by 1,000. Add too much champagne, a hotel key card that opened the wrong door, and waking up the next morning wearing a wedding ring you don't remember getting, lying next to a man you've never seen before. A man who looks at you with dark, dangerous eyes and says in a voice that makes your spine tingle, "Good morning, wife." I'm talking about a mix-up that turned into a marriage. A one-night mistake that became a lifetime contract. A wrong turn that led to exactly the right person at exactly the wrong time. Before we dive in, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and smash that subscribe button for Unusual Tales, because this tale has more twists than a Korean drama, more heat than you're ready for, and an ending that'll make you believe in fate even when you don't want to. This is the story of how Destiny Harper's worst night became the beginning of everything she never knew she needed. Seoul, South Korea. The Grand Lotus Hotel. 2:47 a.m. on a Saturday in October. Destiny Harper stumbled through the hallway of the 42nd floor, her vision slightly blurred, her designer heels dangling from one hand, her clutch purse from the other. Her natural hair, usually perfectly styled, had started to escape its elegant updo, curls falling around her face in a way that would have mortified her sober self. But Destiny was not sober. She was tipsy. Maybe a little more than tipsy. Okay, fine. She was drunk. Not falling down drunk. Not making bad decisions drunk. Just enough champagne that the hotel hallway seemed longer than it had earlier. And the numbers on the doors kept swimming in and out of focus. 4, 2, 1, 7, she muttered, squinting at her keycard. Room 4217, easy. You're a successful marketing executive, Destiny. You can find your hotel room. She'd been in Seoul for 3 days attending the Asia-Pacific Marketing Conference. 3 days of presentations, networking events, and forcing smiles at men who talked over her in meetings. 3 days of being the only black woman in most rooms, of answering questions about her hair, of proving she belonged in spaces that acted surprised she was there. Tonight had been the closing gala. Open bar. She'd earned those drinks. Destiny stopped in front of a door. The numbers swam, then focused. 42:17. There you are, you beautiful door, she said, giggling at herself. She slid the keycard through the reader. Green light, click. The door opened. Destiny stumbled inside, letting the door close behind her. The room was dark, but she didn't bother with lights. She kicked off her remaining heel, dropped her purse on what she assumed was a chair, and began unzipping her dress as she walked toward the bed. The dress, a stunning emerald green number that had cost a month's salary, puddled at her feet. She stepped out of it, now wearing just her black lace underwear set, and face planted onto the bed. The sheets smelled good, expensive, like cedar and something else she couldn't name. The hotel had really upgraded the linen since last year's conference. Destiny was asleep in 30 seconds. She didn't notice that the room was much larger than hers. Didn't notice the suit jacket draped over the chair that wasn't hers. Didn't notice the faint sound of running water from the bathroom. And definitely didn't notice when the bathroom door opened 10 minutes later, and a man stepped out wearing only black silk pajama pants, his hair damp, his expression shifting from relaxed to confused to something much more complicated when he saw the nearly naked woman passed out on his bed. Destiny woke to sunlight. Aggressive, accusatory sunlight that stabbed through her eyelids like it was personally offended by her life choices. Her head pounded. Her mouth tasted like champagne and regret. Her body felt heavy and strange. Also, she was warm. Really warm. Like someone had cranked the heat up to sauna levels. She tried to move and realized why. There was an arm around her waist, a heavy, muscular arm, attached to a body. A male body. A very warm, very solid male body pressed against her back. Destiny's eyes snapped open. This was not her room. The ceiling was different. The windows were bigger. The entire space was at least 3 times the size of her standard hotel room. And there was a man in the bed with her. Her heart stopped. then started racing so fast she thought it might explode. Slowly, so slowly, Destiny turned her head. The man was still sleeping. His face was turned toward her, peaceful in sleep, and even through her panic, some distant part of her brain registered. He's beautiful. Korean, probably early 30s. Sharp, elegant features, high cheekbones, strong jaw, full lips, black hair falling across his forehead. The kind of face that belonged on magazine covers or K-drama posters. His arm was draped over her waist possessively. His body, bare-chested, showing defined muscles and smooth skin, curved around hers like they did this every morning. Destiny looked down at herself, still in her underwear, thank God. Nothing else seemed wrong. She didn't feel sore or strange, just confused and terrified. She tried to slide out from under his arm. He tightened his grip, murmuring something in Korean, pulling her closer. Destiny froze. Okay, new plan. She'd just stay very still and figure out what the hell happened. She looked around the room, saw her dress on the floor, her shoes, her purse, and on the nightstand, catching the morning light, a piece of paper with official-looking text and 2 signatures at the bottom. Destiny's stomach dropped. She couldn't read most of it, it was in Korean, but she recognized one word: marriage. And below that, in English, marriage registration certificate, Seoul Metropolitan Government. Her eyes traveled down to the signatures. One was clearly masculine, bold strokes in Hangul. The other was hers. Messy, drunk, but definitely her signature. No, 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 no. Destiny's gaze dropped to her left hand. There was a ring on her finger, a stunning diamond and platinum ring that definitely had not been there last night. She looked at the man's hand resting on her waist. He wore a matching band. Oh my God, Destiny whispered. The man stirred. His eyes opened. Dark, intelligent eyes that focused on her immediately with an alertness that suggested he'd been awake much longer than she'd thought. They stared at each other. "Good morning, wife," he said in perfect English, his voice deep and rough with sleep. Destiny screamed. The man sat up calmly while Destiny scrambled backward, clutching the sheet to her chest, her heart hammering. "Who are you?" she demanded. "What is this? Why am I—" She looked at the marriage certificate again. "Why does that say we're married?" He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture that was unfairly attractive for someone who'd just been accused of whatever this was. "My name is Kang Minho," he said calmly. "And we're married because you insisted on it last night." "I what?" "You were very persuasive." He reached for a glass of water on his nightstand, took a sip, completely unbothered by her panic. Also very drunk. I can't, this isn't possible." Minho picked up his phone from the nightstand and pulled up a video. Turned the screen toward her. Destiny watched in horror as Drunker stumbled into what was clearly a government office at some ungodly hour, hanging onto this man's arm, laughing too loudly, saying something in slurred English about fate and signs from the universe. Video Minho looked amused but sober, guiding her gently as she insisted, loudly, that they should get married right now because the universe had sent her to his hotel room for a reason. "We can't just give up on fate," Drunk Destiny said in the video. "The universe is giving us a sign." Present Destiny wanted to die. The video showed them signing papers, showed Drunk her kissing Minho enthusiastically, showed him catching her when she almost fell, then carrying her, giggling, back to a car. "I don't remember any of this," Destiny whispered. "I know." Minho set his phone down. "You were quite intoxicated, which is why I tried to talk you out of it. Multiple times, but you were very determined." "Then why did you—" She gestured helplessly at the marriage certificate. "Why did you go through with it?" Something shifted in Minho's expression, something dark and complicated. "Because I needed a wife," he said simply. "And you offered, so I accepted." Destiny stared at him. "You needed a wife? What does that even mean?" "It means exactly what it sounds like." He stood, and Destiny tried very hard not to notice how his pajama pants hung low on his hips, or how his torso was ridiculously well defined, or how he moved with the kind of controlled grace that suggested danger. He pulled on a robe, tying it loosely. There's coffee in the sitting room. Get dressed. We need to talk. Get dressed? Talk? I need to get this marriage annulled immediately. No, Minho said calmly. Excuse me? He turned back to face her, and for the first time, she saw something sharp in his eyes. Something that made her understand that this beautiful, calm man was not someone you said no to. You entered my room last night, he said quietly. You propositioned me. You insisted we get married? I accepted. The marriage is legal, properly registered with the Seoul Metropolitan Government. And I have no intention of annulling it. You can't just keep me married to you. I can, actually. Korean marriage law requires both parties to consent to dissolution. I don't consent. Destiny felt the room spin. This is insane. You're insane. I'm calling the American embassy. I'm calling... The embassy will tell you that the marriage is legal, and you'll need to go through proper legal channels to dissolve it, which will take months and require my cooperation. He moved toward the door of what she now realized was a suite, not just a room. Get dressed, Destiny. We have things to discuss. Starting with why you can't go home to America for at least the next 6 months. He left the room. Destiny sat on the bed, clutching the sheet, staring at the marriage certificate and wondered what the hell she'd done. 20 minutes later, Destiny emerged from the bedroom wearing her wrinkled emerald dress from last night, her dignity in tatters, and her anger at maximum capacity. The suite's sitting room was enormous, floor-to-ceiling windows showing Seoul's skyline, modern furniture that screamed wealth, and Minho sitting calmly at a dining table set with breakfast that looked like it cost more than her flight to Korea. He'd changed into dark slacks and a crisp white shirt, looked every bit the wealthy businessman. Dangerously handsome and completely composed. Sit, he said, gesturing to the chair across from him. I'd rather stand. Sit, Destiny. Something in his voice made her sit. He poured her coffee, pushed a plate of food toward her. Eat. You'll need your strength for this conversation. I don't want food. I want an explanation. Starting with who you are and why you think you can keep me prisoner in a fake marriage. I'm not keeping you prisoner. You're free to move around Seoul to continue your life. You simply can't annul our marriage or leave the country for 6 months. Why? Minho took a sip of his coffee, studying her over the rim of his cup. Because I need a wife for 6 months. After that, you'll be free to annul the marriage, return to America, and forget this ever happened. But for 6 months, you'll remain Mrs. Kang Minho. You still haven't explained why. He set down his cup. My family is complicated, traditional, powerful. They've been pressuring me to marry for years. Last month, they gave me an ultimatum. Marry someone they approve of within 90 days, or they'll arrange a marriage for me. Destiny blinked. Arranged marriage? What century is this? The century where family control is currency in certain circles. His voice was dry. I have 60 days left. Then you stumbled into my room. Drunk and beautiful and from a world so far removed from mine that you're perfect. Perfect for what? For convincing my family that I've married for love. That I've chosen someone so unexpected, so outside their control, that they'll have to accept it. Destiny laughed. It came out slightly hysterical. You want me to fake a marriage to you for 6 months to get your family off your back? That's your plan? It's not fake. The marriage is legal. A legal marriage I don't remember agreeing to. You agreed quite enthusiastically. He pulled out his phone again, and Destiny held up her hand. Please don't show me more videos of drunk me. I can't handle it. Something that might have been amusement flickered in his eyes. You were very charming, actually. You told me I had sad eyes and needed someone to make me laugh again. You said the universe sent you to me because I'd forgotten how to be happy. Destiny's cheeks burned. Drunk me is apparently a philosopher. Drunk you saw something I thought I'd hidden. His voice softened just slightly. Which is part of why I said yes. The other part being that you needed a convenient wife. Yes. At least he was honest. Destiny rubbed her temples. Okay, let's say I believe this insane story. Let's say I agree to this, which I haven't. What exactly would this arrangement entail? You'll move into my penthouse. We'll present as a married couple to my family and business associates. Public appearances, some social events. You'll have your own room, your own space. I won't touch you unless necessary for appearances. Define necessary for appearances. Hand-holding. Perhaps my arm around you in public. Maybe a kiss on the cheek or forehead. His eyes held hers. Nothing more intimate unless you consent. And after 6 months? Clean annulment. I'll handle all the paperwork. You'll receive compensation for your time. Say $2 million. You return to America. We never see each other again. Destiny's brain stuttered. $2 million. Yes. Call it payment for helping me maintain my freedom of choice. She stared at him. $2 million. That was life-changing money. Pay off her student loans. Buy a house. Start her own agency. Never have to sit through another meeting where men talked over her. This is insane, she whispered. Yes. You're essentially bribing me to stay married to you. Yes. I should call the police or a lawyer or... You should eat breakfast and think carefully about what you want your life to look like for the next 6 months. Minho leaned back in his chair. You can fight this, hire lawyers, spend money you don't have on legal fees that will take months to resolve while you're stuck in Seoul anyway. Or you can accept reality, make the best of an unusual situation, and leave with enough money to change your life. You've thought of everything. I didn't build a successful company by leaving things to chance. Destiny picked up her coffee cup, took a long sip. The coffee was incredible, rich and smooth, and probably cost more per cup than her usual Starbucks order. What kind of company? She asked. Import-export. Among other things. That's vague. Intentionally. Red flag. Definitely a red flag. But also, $2 million. What if your family hates me? Destiny asked. I'm black, American. I'm going to guess your traditional Korean family might have opinions about that. They will. Minho's expression was hard. Which is part of why you're perfect. They'll be so focused on their disapproval that they won't look too closely at the timeline or circumstances. So I'm your rebellion. You're my choice. There's a difference. Destiny looked out the window at Seoul spread below them. She thought about her life in Los Angeles, the cramped apartment, the demanding job, the constant struggle to prove herself. She thought about $2 million. She thought about the ring on her finger and the stranger across the table who'd somehow become her husband. I need time to think, she said finally. You have until dinner. My family expects to meet you tomorrow. Tomorrow? I told them I'd married impulsively while in Seoul for business. They're flying in tomorrow to meet my wife. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. I suggest you decide quickly. Destiny stood, her legs shaky. I need air, and probably a lawyer. The hotel has an excellent gym on the 30th floor. Help yourself. Minho stood as well, buttoning his suit jacket. I have meetings all day. Security will be stationed outside the suite, for your protection. Or to make sure I don't run. Both, perhaps. At least he was honest. As Destiny reached the door, Minho spoke again. Destiny. She turned. I know this isn't what you wanted, but sometimes the universe does send us where we need to be, even if we don't understand why yet. She thought about her rambling about fate and signs. Maybe, she said quietly, Or maybe I just walked into the wrong hotel room and now I'm paying for it. Perhaps, but either way, he met her eyes. You're here now. The question is what you'll do about it. Destiny left the suite with more questions than answers, a wedding ring she didn't remember receiving, and a decision that would change everything. 6 months as Mrs. Kang Minho, $2 million, and a dangerously beautiful husband who looked at her like she was a problem he could solve or a mystery he wanted to understand. She had until dinner to decide if she was brave enough or desperate enough to say yes. Act 3. The Decision. Destiny spent the day trying to find a way out. She called the American embassy. They confirmed the marriage was legal and valid. She'd need to file for annulment through Korean courts, which would take months and require her husband's cooperation. She called 3 lawyers. They all said the same thing. She called her best friend Jasmine back in Los Angeles. You did what? Jasmine's voice came through the phone at maximum volume. I know, it's insane. Destiny Harper, you went to Seoul for a marketing conference. How do you accidentally get married? Wrong hotel room, too much champagne. Apparently, I'm very persuasive when drunk. And this man, this Korean billionaire, just went along with it? He says he needed a wife for family reasons. That's suspicious as hell. I know. Silence on the other end. Then, how hot is he? Jazz, that's not the point. On a scale of 1 to, I'd make bad decisions. How hot? Destiny thought about Minho's face, his body, the way he moved, the way his voice made her skin tingle. Solid 12, she admitted. Oh, you're screwed. Not helping. Okay, serious talk. Jasmine's voice shifted. $2 million is life-changing money. And you said he's guaranteeing your own space, no pressure for sex, clean exit after 6 months? That's what he said. Then honestly, I'd do it. 6 months of playing pretend wife to a hot billionaire in exchange for never having to worry about money again? Girl, that's a better deal than most real marriages. Destiny laughed despite everything. You're terrible. I'm practical. Besides, you're always talking about wanting to start your own agency. This is your chance. After they hung up, Destiny stood at the window of the hotel gym, which she had entirely to herself, courtesy of Minho's security clearing it out, and stared at Seoul. She thought about her life, about always struggling, always proving herself, always feeling like she was one paycheck away from disaster. $2 million would change that. But it wasn't just about the money, was it? There was something about Minho. Something in his eyes that made her think drunk her might have been onto something with that sad eyes comment. He was offering her an escape. From debt, from struggle, from constant hustle. All she had to do was pretend to be his wife for 6 months. How hard could that be? Destiny returned to the suite at 6 p.m. wearing clothes she'd bought from the hotel boutique. Simple black pants and a silk blouse, courtesy of Minho's credit card that security had given her with instructions to buy whatever you need. Minho was already there, changed into casual clothes, dark jeans and a soft gray sweater that made him look younger, less intimidating. He looked up when she entered. You came back. I considered running, decided against it. And your decision? Destiny walked to where he sat, her heart pounding. She looked at the ring on her finger, looked at him. I have conditions. Minho's expression didn't change, but she saw interest flicker in his eyes. Name them. First, I need everything in writing. Contract specifying the 6-month timeline, the compensation, the annulment agreement. I want legal protection. Done. Second, I keep working, remotely from my current job, and I'm free to pursue other opportunities. I'm not just sitting around being decorative. Agreed. I'll have an office set up for you in the penthouse. Third, we establish boundaries. Clear rules about what's expected physically and what's off limits. I need to feel safe. Of course. His voice was sincere. I meant what I said. I won't touch you beyond what's necessary for public appearances, and even then, only with your permission. Fourth, she took a breath. You tell me the truth about what you really do. I'm not walking into something criminal without knowing exactly what I'm getting into. Minho was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood, walked to the bar, poured 2 glasses of whiskey, handed her one. My family's company is legitimate on paper. Import-export, shipping, logistics. But we also have connections to organizations that operate in gray areas. Not quite criminal, but not entirely legal. Mafia. That word is dramatic, but essentially, yes. My family has influence in both legitimate business and underground networks. I've spent the last 5 years trying to make our operations fully legitimate. My family resists. They prefer the old ways. And marrying me helps how? It shows them I'm willing to make my own choices, that I won't be controlled. He met her eyes. You're right that they'll disapprove of you, but that's the point. I'm drawing a line. Using me as the line. Yes. No apology. Just honesty. Destiny took a sip of whiskey. It burned going down, but she welcomed it. Last condition, she said. When this is over, when the 6 months are up, you let me go cleanly. No drama. No trying to convince me to stay. We both move on. Something flickered in Minho's expression. Something that looked almost like disappointment. Agreed, he said quietly. Destiny held out her hand. Then we have a deal, husband. Minho looked at her offered hand. Then, instead of shaking it, he took it gently and raised it to his lips, pressing a soft kiss to her knuckles just above her wedding ring. The gesture was old-fashioned, intimate, and sent heat straight through her body. Welcome to the family, wife, he murmured. And Destiny realized that 6 months might be much more complicated than she'd anticipated. Especially when her fake husband looked at her like that. Especially when her heart did that stupid flutter thing when he touched her. Especially when some part of her wondered if Drunker had actually been right about fate. The next day, Destiny met the Kang family. Minho's penthouse was in Gangnam, of course it was, and was exactly what you'd expect from a billionaire with excellent taste. Modern, minimalist, floor-to-ceiling windows, art that probably cost more than houses. And currently filled with Minho's family, who looked at Destiny like she'd personally insulted their ancestors. There was Minho's father, Kong Joon-ho, late 50s, impeccably dressed, face carved from stone. His mother, Park Soo-jin, elegant, beautiful, cold as ice. His younger sister, Kong Hana, mid-20s, curious but wary. And various aunts, uncles, and cousins who filled the space with judgment and whispered Korean. Destiny wore a simple but elegant dress Minho had provided. Cream-colored, modest, expensive. Her natural hair was styled in a sophisticated updo. She looked the part of a billionaire's wife. That didn't stop the staring. So, Minho's father said in heavily accented English, his tone making it clear he'd rather be speaking Korean. This is the woman you married, without permission, without consultation, without even telling your family. Yes, father. Minho stood beside Destiny, his hand at the small of her back, a touch that looked possessive to his family but felt supportive to her. This is Destiny, my wife. She's American. His mother's voice was crisp, her English perfect. Black, not Korean, not from our world. What were you thinking? I was thinking I met someone extraordinary and didn't want to lose her. Minho's voice was calm but firm. I married for love, not strategy. Isn't that what you always said you wanted for me? We meant love within appropriate bounds, his father said. Not this impulsive mistake. Destiny felt her spine stiffen. Minho's hand pressed gently against her back, a silent message. Stay calm. With respect, Destiny said quietly, her voice steady despite her racing heart. I'm standing right here, and while I understand this is surprising and not what you wanted, I'm not a mistake. I'm a person who cares about your son. Minho's mother studied her with sharp eyes. You've known him for how long? Not long, Destiny admitted. But sometimes you just know. Convenient, an aunt muttered in Korean. Destiny didn't speak Korean, but tone was universal. Minho's sister Hana stepped forward. Do you love him? She asked directly. Or do you love his money? Destiny looked at Minho, at his controlled expression that couldn't quite hide the tension in his jaw, at the man who'd offered her an escape and somehow become something more complicated. I love that he makes me laugh, Destiny said, which was technically true. Minho had made several dry, sarcastic comments that morning that had surprised a laugh out of her. I love that he's trying to be better than what's expected of him. And I love that he sees me as a person, not just a status symbol. Hana studied her for a long moment, then, surprisingly, smiled slightly. Interesting answer. The lunch that followed was tense, disapproving, full of loaded questions and barely veiled insults. But Destiny held her ground, answered with grace. Let the criticism slide off her, and through it all, Minho stayed close, his hand finding hers under the table. His body angled toward her protectively, his responses to his family growing shorter and sharper as they pushed. By the time the family left, Destiny was exhausted. She collapsed on the couch. Your family hates me. They hate that they can't control me. Minho sat beside her, loosening his tie. You were perfect. I felt like I was on trial. You were, and you handled it beautifully. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Destiny asked, What you said about me making you laugh, was that just for show? Minho turned to look at her. No, you do make me laugh. You're unexpected. Real. It's refreshing. Even though I am a complication. Especially because you're a complication. He smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes. My life is very controlled, very predictable. You walked into the wrong room and turned everything upside down. It's terrifying and interesting in equal measure. Destiny's heart did that stupid flutter thing again. 6 months, she reminded herself. This is just 6 months. 6 months, Minho agreed, but the way he looked at her suggested he might be having the same problem she was. The problem of fake starting to feel real. The problem of a contract beginning to feel like something else. The problem of a marriage of convenience inconveniently developing real feelings. They had 6 months. Destiny had a feeling it would be the fastest and slowest 6 months of her life. That was 3 months ago. I'm writing this from Minho's penthouse. Our penthouse, I guess, though it still feels strange to say that. 3 months into our 6-month arrangement, and everything has changed. We have breakfast together every morning. He taught me basic Korean phrases. I introduced him to American soul food. We watch bad reality TV together and argue about which contestants are the worst. He holds my hand now without being asked, kisses my forehead before leaving for work. Looks at me like I'm not just a convenient solution to his family problem. And I, God help me, have started looking at him the same way. Last week, his family threw us a delayed wedding reception. His mother is slowly warming to me, emphasis on slowly. His sister and I go shopping on Saturdays. His father still looks at me like I'm corrupting his son, but he stopped openly criticizing. 3 more months. Then I'm supposed to walk away with $2 million and return to my real life. Except Seoul is starting to feel real. This penthouse feels like home. And Minho, complicated, dangerous, unexpectedly tender Minho, feels like someone I don't want to leave. I don't know what happens when our contract ends. I don't know if fake can become real or if we're just fooling ourselves. All I know is that I walked into the wrong hotel room 3 months ago and somehow ended up exactly where I was supposed to be. Even if I'm terrified of what that means. If this story made you believe in wrong turns that lead to right destinations, in fake relationships that become real, in accidentally falling in love with the person you're only supposed to be pretending with, hit that subscribe button for Ken's romance stories. Drop a comment telling me, would you take the 6-month deal? Could you walk away after? What happens when convenient becomes complicated? Until next time, remember, sometimes the biggest mistakes lead to the most beautiful destinations. You just have to be brave enough to see where they take you. Thanks for watching, and yes, I'll update you when I figure out what the hell I'm going to do when these 6 months end. Spoiler alert, I already know I'm not ready to say goodbye.